Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the UES Discovery and watched the stars through the main viewport. The Kepler Nebula spread before them like a colorful cloud of gas and dust. His ship and two others had been studying this region for 3 months now. The work was peaceful, and the crew was happy. Dr. Lisa Warren walked up to him with her datapad in hand. She had been working non-stop on the biological samples they found near the nebula. Her eyes were bright with excitement. About her latest findings. "Jake, we found something amazing in the gas clouds," she said. "There are microorganisms that can survive in pure vacuum. This could change everything we know about life in space." Jake smiled at her enthusiasm. Lisa had been his friend since their academy days, and he loved seeing her so passionate about her work. The Discovery was a research vessel, not a warship, but it carried the best scientists Earth had to offer. Commander Kyle Brooks approached them from the communications station. His face looked worried, and Jake knew something was wrong. Kyle had been his second in command for 5 years, and Jake could read his expressions easily. "Captain, we have contacts approaching from the outer system," Kyle said. 20 ships moving fast toward our position. They are not responding to our standard greeting signals." Jake felt his stomach tighten. The Discovery and her sister ships were far from human space. They had permission from the Galactic Council to study here, but that did not mean everyone would respect it. There were always pirates and raiders in the outer regions. "What type of ships, Kyle?" Jake asked as he moved to the command chair. "Heavy cruisers and destroyers, sir. The computer identifies them as Zephyrian Empire vessels. They will be here in 2 hours. Lisa looked confused. "Zephyrians? But we filed all the proper papers with their embassy. We have every right to be here, Jake." Wished it was that simple. The Zephyrian Empire was one of the major powers in this region of space. They were known for their aggressive expansion and their belief that might made right. Most species tried to avoid conflicts with them. "Send a message to all our ships," Jake ordered. "Tell them to prepare for possible trouble, and get me a direct line to Admiral Rodriguez back on Earth." The bridge crew moved quickly to follow his orders. Jake knew that every human ship carried a quantum beacon that could send messages faster than light back to Earth Command. It was standard procedure, but Jake hoped he would not need to use it. The Zephyrian fleet arrived exactly when Kyle predicted. Their ships were dark and angular, with weapon ports clearly visible along their hulls. The lead vessel was twice the size of the Discovery and bristled with offensive systems. A harsh voice came through the communications system. The universal translator made it sound mechanical and cold. "Human vessels, you are in violation of Zephyrian territorial claims. Prepare to be boarded and surrender all research materials immediately." Jake stood up straight and activated the response channel. "This is Captain Morrison of the United Earth Ship Discovery. We are conducting authorized scientific research under Galactic Council Permit 774 Alpha. We have broken no laws and claim protection under interstellar treaty." There was a long pause before the Zephyrian commander responded. When he did, his voice carried obvious amusement. "Your Earth permits mean nothing here, human. We are Admiral Vextar of the Zephyrian Third Fleet. You will comply or face the consequences." Lisa moved closer to Jake. "They cannot do this," she whispered. "The treaty clearly states that scientific missions have protection in neutral space." Jake nodded, but he knew treaties only worked when both sides respected them. The Zephyrians had a reputation for taking what they wanted regardless of galactic law. "Admiral Vextar," Jake said carefully. "We are peaceful researchers. We have no military value and pose no threat to your empire. Surely we can resolve this through diplomatic channels." The response came faster this time, and Jake could hear anger in the alien voice. "You humans think your reputation protects you everywhere. We have heard the stories, but we are not afraid. Your Earth fleet is far away, and we are here now. Surrender or be destroyed." Jake felt cold fear run down his spine. The Zephyrians knew about Earth's military reputation, but they were choosing to ignore it. That meant they either had overwhelming confidence in their own power, or they were making a terrible mistake. Kyle leaned over to him. "Sir, 3 more Zephyrian ships just dropped out of hyperspace. We are outnumbered 23-3. Jake looked around his bridge at the crew he had served with for years. These were good people who had families back home. They had come out here to expand human knowledge, not to fight a war. "Open a channel to Earth Command," Jake ordered. "Emergency priority." The quantum beacon activated, and Jake knew his message would reach Earth in minutes rather than the weeks it would take through normal space. He also knew that activating it would send automatic alerts to every human military installation in the galaxy. "All human vessels. This is Admiral Vextar. You have 1 hour to prepare for boarding. Any resistance will result in the destruction of your ships and crews." Jake looked at Lisa and Kyle. They both knew what this meant. The Zephyrians were not just making demands. They were declaring war on Earth civilians. "Sir," the communications officer called out. "I have Admiral Rodriguez on priority channel." Jake walked to the secure communication station. Admiral Rodriguez appeared on the screen looking grim but calm. He was an older man with gray hair and eyes that had seen too many battles. "Jake, what is your situation?" the Admiral asked without any greeting. 23 Zephyrian warships demanding surrender, sir. They want our research data and ships. Admiral Vextar is claiming territorial rights over neutral space." Rodriguez was quiet for a moment. Jake could see him thinking through the implications. "Jake, I need you to try one more diplomatic solution. Tell them who they are threatening, and give them a chance to back down. If they refuse, then follow Emergency Protocol 7. Jake nodded. Emergency Protocol 7 meant activating all defensive systems and preparing to transmit everything they knew about Zephyrian fleet strength back to Earth. It also meant they would probably not survive the next few hours. Admiral Vextar, Jake. Broadcast on an open channel. "I am Captain Morrison representing the United Earth Space Force. You are threatening peaceful Earth civilians in neutral space. I strongly advise you to reconsider your actions." The reply came immediately, and Jake could hear laughter in the background. "Your warnings mean nothing human. We know your Earth fleet is powerful, but they are not here. We will take what we want, and there is nothing you can do to stop us." Jake closed his eyes for a moment. The Zephyrians had made their choice. They knew about Earth's reputation, and they had decided to ignore it anyway. "All ships," Jake announced. "Implement Emergency Protocol 7. Transmit all data to Earth Command and prepare for boarding actions." The quantum beacon activated again, sending detailed scans of every Zephyrian ship back to Earth. Jake knew that Admiral Rodriguez would now have everything he needed to plan a response. The first Zephyrian boarding pods launched 30 minutes later. Jake watched them approach and wondered if he would live to see what happened when Earth found out that someone had dared to attack their people. The Zephyrians were about to learn why there was one law in the galaxy that everyone knew but some chose to ignore anyway. Fleet Admiral Danny Rodriguez sat in the Emergency Command Center deep below Earth's surface. The quantum alert had woken him from sleep 3 hours ago, and now he stared at the tactical displays showing the Kepler Nebula region. The last transmission From Captain Morrison had been brief and clear. 23 Zephyrian warships had attacked 3 peaceful research vessels. Lieutenant Amy Foster worked frantically at her communications station. She had been the first to receive Jake Morrison's emergency signal, and the weight of that responsibility showed on her young face. "Sir, I have confirmation from all our deep space monitoring stations," Amy reported. "The quantum beacon signatures match the Discovery and her escort ships. No further transmissions have been received." Danny felt the familiar cold anger building in his chest. In 40 years of military service, he had seen many conflicts, but attacks on civilian researchers always hit him the hardest. These were people who had dedicated their lives to expanding human knowledge, and now they were prisoners, or worse. President Karen Blake entered the command center with her security detail. She looked tired but determined. Danny had worked with 3 presidents during his career, and Karen was the toughest of them all. "Danny, what do we know?" she asked without any formal greeting. "Madam President, the Zephyrian Empire has attacked and captured 3 Earth research vessels in neutral space. Captain Morrison transmitted tactical data before they were boarded. We have complete information on enemy fleet strength and disposition." Karen studied the main display showing the location of the attack. "How many people, Danny?" 47 civilians. "And 12 military personnel, ma'am. All good people doing important work." The president nodded slowly. "Options." Danny had been preparing for this question since the alert arrived. "We can file a formal protest through the Galactic Council. That will take months and probably accomplish nothing. We can offer prisoner exchange or ransom, or we can go get our people." Karen looked at him with steady eyes. "Casualties for option 3. Unknown, ma'am. The Zephyrians have never faced our fleet in serious combat. Their intelligence about our capabilities is probably outdated, but they have numerical superiority in their home region." The president was quiet for several minutes while she considered the options. Danny knew she was weighing the lives of 59 people against the possibility of a larger war. "Danny, I want you to prepare the fleet for immediate deployment. If diplomacy fails, we go in fast and hard." "Yes, ma'am." "How many ships?" Karen surprised him with her answer. "All of them." Lieutenant Amy looked up from her station with wide eyes. "Ma'am, did you say all of them?" "You heard correctly, Lieutenant. The Zephyrians want to test Earth's resolve. Let us show them what that looks like." Danny felt a grim smile cross his face. Karen Blake had just authorized the largest fleet movement in human history. Every available warship would converge on Zephyrian space within the next 72 hours. "Amy, get me Admiral Johnson at Titan Base and Admiral Stevens at Mars Command. Priority Alpha." The holographic displays activated, showing the faces of Danny's 2 senior fleet commanders. Both men looked alert despite the early hour. "Gentlemen, we have a situation," Danny began and quickly briefed them on the Zephyrian attack. When he finished, both admirals wore expressions of cold fury. "Sir," Admiral Johnson said from Titan Base, "I can have the 3rd and 7th fleets ready to move in 18 hours. That is 48 heavy cruisers and supporting vessels." Admiral Stevens leaned forward. "Mars Command can deploy the 1st and 5th fleets in 24 hours. Another 60 ships, including the new dreadnoughts." Danny nodded. "Do it. All fleets converge at Rally Point Charlie, then proceed to Zephyrian space as a unified force. Rules of engagement are defensive until we locate our people, then full military response authorized." President Blake stepped closer to the display. "Admirals, I want you to understand something. This is not just about rescuing our people. This is about sending a message to every species in the galaxy. Earth protects its own. Understood, Madam President. Both admirals replied simultaneously. As the connection ended, Amy reported new information. Sir, I am receiving priority messages from 17 different alien governments. They all want to speak with you immediately. Danny was not surprised. The quantum beacon network carried human emergency signals across most of known space. Every major power would have detected the alert from the Kepler Nebula. Put the Altarian ambassador through first. The blue-skinned diplomat appeared on screen looking nervous. The Altarians had fought humans once and learned to respect their determination the hard way. Admiral Rodriguez, I have been instructed by my government to offer assistance in resolving this crisis. The Altarian Republic deplores unprovoked attacks on civilian vessels. Thank you, Ambassador. We will handle this matter ourselves. The next call came from the Centauri Federation. Their ambassador was more direct. Admiral, we strongly advise caution. The Zephyrian Empire has defensive agreements with several other powers. This situation could escalate beyond your ability to control. Danny kept his voice level. Ambassador Blake, our people were attacked without provocation. We will respond appropriately. Similar calls came from governments across the galaxy. Some offered help while others warned about the dangers of military action. Danny noticed that the species who had fought humans before offered assistance, while those who had not tried to convince him to use diplomacy. Captain Steve Turner entered the command center wearing his dress uniform. He commanded the dreadnought UES Retribution and was one of Danny's most experienced officers. Sir, the Retribution is ready for immediate departure. My crew is aboard and all systems are operational. Danny studied the tactical display again. Steve, I am giving you command of the advance force. Take your battle group and proceed to Zephyrian space immediately. Do not engage unless fired upon, but make your presence known. Sir, what about the captured research ships? Intelligence suggests they are being held at the Zephyrian military station near their home system. Captain Morrison managed to transmit some data before communications were cut. We know where they are. Steve nodded grimly. Sir, request permission to take additional Marine units. Granted. This may turn into a boarding action. As Steve left to prepare his ships, Danny turned back to the communications station. Amy was monitoring transmissions from across human space, and her face showed growing amazement. Sir, I am receiving reports from civilian shipping companies and private security firms. They are requesting permission to join the fleet. Danny frowned. Civilians have no place in a military operation, Amy. Sir, they are not asking to fight. They want to provide logistical support and emergency rescue capabilities. Some of the mining companies have ships that could carry supplies. President Blake stepped forward. Danny, this might not be a bad idea. If we are deploying the entire fleet, we will need massive supply lines. Danny considered the proposal. A fleet of over 100 warships would consume enormous amounts of fuel and supplies. Having civilian contractors handle logistics would free up his military vessels for combat operations. Amy sent a message to all civilian contractors. They can provide logistical support, but they stay far from any combat zones. Make that very clear. Yes, sir. Over the next 6 hours, reports came in from across human space. Fleets were departing. From every major base and orbital facility, civilian ships were loading supplies and fuel for the long journey to Zephyrian territory. The entire human military machine was mobilizing with unprecedented speed and efficiency. Danny watched the status boards as more ships reported ready for departure. The numbers were staggering. Earth was sending a force capable of conquering entire star systems to rescue 59 people. Sir, Amy called out. Priority message from the Galactic Council. The elderly Valon diplomat appeared on screen looking concerned. Admiral Rodriguez, the Council has been informed of recent events. We urge all parties to seek peaceful resolution through proper diplomatic channels. Counselor, our people were attacked without provocation. We tried diplomatic solutions and they were rejected. Earth will now handle this matter directly. Admiral, the Council reminds you that military action against Council member species requires authorization. Danny felt his patience wearing thin. Counselor Earth is also a Council member. Our citizens deserve the same protection as anyone else. The connection ended abruptly. Danny suspected the Galactic Council would spend the next few days arguing about proper procedures while human fleets moved toward Zephyrian space. President Blake walked over to him. Danny, do you think they understand what they have started? No, ma'am, I do not think they do. The Zephyrians see us as just another species that can be bullied. They are about to learn otherwise. Amy looked up from her station. Sir Captain Turner reports his battle group has entered hyperspace. Estimated arrival at Zephyrian border in 36 hours. Danny nodded. The die was cast. In less than 2 days, the Zephyrian Empire would discover why every species in the galaxy knew one simple rule. Do not tamper with Earth's fleet or Earth's people. They knew that rule, and they had chosen to break it anyway. Now they would learn the consequences of that choice. Captain Greg Sullivan stood on the bridge of his heavy cruiser UES Vengeance as it dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of Zephyrian territory. Behind him, 5 more ships materialized in perfect formation. They were the advanced scouts for the largest human fleet ever assembled, and Greg felt the weight of that responsibility. Captain, we are detecting multiple alien vessels at the border stations, his tactical officer reported. 12 ships moving to intercept our position. Greg studied the tactical display. The Zephyrian border guards were approaching cautiously. They probably expected a small diplomatic mission, not the beginning of a military operation. Open a channel to the lead vessel, Greg ordered. A Zephyrian officer appeared on the main screen. He was tall and thin, with dark gray skin and small black eyes. His uniform indicated high rank, but Greg could see uncertainty in his expression. Human vessel, you are entering Zephyrian space without permission. State your purpose immediately. Greg kept his voice calm and professional. This is Captain Sullivan of the United Earth Space Force. We are here to retrieve Earth citizens who were unlawfully captured by your military. We request immediate access to Admiral Vextar. The Zephyrian officer looked confused. Admiral Vextar is not available to discuss minor diplomatic matters. Return to your own space and file proper requests through the Galactic Council. Greg felt cold anger building in his chest. The alien was treating the capture of Earth civilians as a minor diplomatic matter. Officer Y strongly suggest you contact your superiors immediately. What Admiral Vextar did was an act of war against Earth. We are here to resolve this situation, but we will not wait long. The connection ended abruptly. Greg knew the Zephyrian border guards were now frantically contacting their command structure. In a few hours, they would realize that this was not a normal diplomatic crisis. Commander Nina Walsh entered the bridge, carrying a datapad with the latest intelligence reports. She had been studying Zephyrian military tactics for the past 3 days, and her analysis would guide their operations. Greg, the main human fleet will arrive in 18 hours, she said. Admiral Rodriguez wants us to probe their defenses and locate the captured research vessels. What do we know about their fleet strength, Nina? Intelligence estimates 300 ships in this sector, but most are older designs. Their newest vessels are comparable to our ships from 10 years ago. They have numerical superiority, but we Have significant technological advantages? Greg nodded. Human military technology had advanced rapidly during the past decade. New weapon systems and defensive shields gave Earth ships capabilities that most alien species could not match. "Sir," the communications officer called out. "Priority message from Captain Turner aboard the Retribution." Captain Steve Turner appeared on the secondary display. His dreadnought was leading the main battle group toward Zephyrian space and would arrive ahead of the full fleet. "Greg, what is your status?" Steve asked. "Border guards are nervous but not taking any aggressive action yet. I think they are waiting for orders from higher authority." "Good. Intelligence suggests the captured humans are being held at Station Corax in the inner system. That is heavily defended, so we need to move fast once the main fleet arrives." Greg studied the tactical map showing the Zephyrian system. Station Corax was surrounded by orbital defense platforms and protected by at least 50 warships. It would be a difficult target even for the entire human fleet. "Steve, what are our rules of engagement?" "Minimal force until we locate our people, then full military response authorized. The President wants this resolved quickly." As the transmission ended, Greg received an alert from his sensor operator. "Captain, massive hyperspace signatures detected. Something big is coming out of jump drive." The main display showed space distortions indicating ships dropping out of hyperspace. Greg expected to see more Zephyrian vessels, but what appeared surprised him. 3 massive alien dreadnoughts materialized near the border station. They were not Zephyrian designs. "Captain, those are hegemony warships," Nina said with concern in her voice. "The Zephyrians must have called for help from their allies." Greg felt the situation becoming more complicated. The hegemony was another major power in this region, and their ships were more advanced than standard Zephyrian vessels. If they were getting involved, this could turn into a much larger conflict. "Open a channel to the hegemony commander." A different alien appeared on screen. This one had pale blue skin and large golden eyes. His expression was carefully neutral, but Greg could see intelligence behind those eyes. "Human Captain, I am Admiral Kevlon of the Hegemony Third Fleet. We are here to maintain peace and stability in this region. Admiral, I am Captain Sullivan. We are here to retrieve Earth citizens who were unlawfully captured. We have no dispute with the hegemony." "Captain, the situation is more complex than you understand. The Zephyrian Empire has legitimate territorial claims in this area. Your research vessels violated their sovereignty." Greg felt his patience wearing thin. "Admiral, our ships were in neutral space under Galactic Council protection. The Zephyrians attacked without provocation. Perhaps we should allow proper authorities to investigate these claims rather than resort to military action." Before Greg could respond, his tactical officer interrupted. "Captain, detecting massive hyperspace distortions throughout the system. Multiple large vessels incoming." The main display showed dozens of jump signatures appearing across Zephyrian space. Greg knew what this meant. The human fleet was arriving early and in overwhelming force. The first ships to appear were Captain Turner's battle group. 12 heavy cruisers and the dreadnought Retribution materialized in perfect formation. Their weapons were powered down, but their threat was unmistakable. "Captain, this is Turner. We are detecting hegemony vessels in the area. Please advise." "Steve, the hegemony claims they are here to maintain peace. Admiral Kevlon seems reasonable, but he is supporting Zephyrian territorial claims." More ships continued dropping out of hyperspace. Greg watched in amazement as the human fleet assembled. Dreadnoughts and battle cruisers appeared in waves, followed by carriers and support vessels. The numbers were staggering, Admiral Kevlon appeared on screen again, and his expression had changed. Completely. Captain Sullivan, exactly how many ships has Earth sent? Admiral Earth takes attacks on its civilians very seriously. I suggest you contact Admiral Rodriguez for further discussions. The Hegemony Admiral was quiet for a long moment while he studied his tactical displays. Greg could imagine what those displays were showing. More human ships were arriving every few minutes, and the numbers were already overwhelming. Captain, I will need to consult with my government. Perhaps there is room for negotiation. Captain Alex Carter's voice came through the communication system. His carrier UES Valiant had just arrived with a full complement of fighter craft. All ships. This is Admiral Rodriguez aboard the UES Washington. Prepare for combat operations. Our objective is to locate and rescue captured Earth personnel. Secondary. Objective is to neutralize any threats to future civilian missions in this region. Greg felt a surge of pride as he watched the human fleet take formation. Over 100 warships moved with precision and purpose. Every captain knew their role, and every crew member understood the mission. The Zephyrian border guards were now clearly panicking. Their 12 ships were completely outmatched by the human force. Several were already retreating toward their home system. Sir, the sensor operator reported, detecting weapons charging on the Hegemony vessels. Greg tensed. If the Hegemony decided to fight alongside the Zephyrians, this would become a much bloodier conflict. Admiral Kevlon appeared on screen one more time. Captain Sullivan, my government, has instructed me to withdraw from this region. The Hegemony does not wish to become involved in this dispute. A wise decision, Admiral. The 3 Hegemony dreadnoughts activated their jump drives and disappeared into hyperspace. Greg was not surprised. Most alien species understood that fighting Earth's fleet was expensive and dangerous. All ships, this is Admiral Rodriguez. Intelligence has confirmed that our people are being held at Station Corax. We move in 30 minutes. Captain Sullivan, your scouts will lead the advance. Greg looked around his bridge at the crew he had served with for years. They were about to enter enemy space with overwhelming force to rescue 59 captured humans. The Zephyrians had known the rules and broken them anyway. Navigator set course for the inner system, maximum speed. The human fleet began moving deeper into Zephyrian territory. Ahead of them lay Station Corax and their captured people. Behind them lay the growing realization among alien governments that Earth was not bluffing when it came to protecting its citizens. Greg watched the tactical display as Zephyrian defense. Forces scrambled to respond. They had started this crisis by attacking peaceful researchers. Now they would discover why every species in the galaxy knew one simple law. Do not tamper with Earth's fleet. They knew the rule, but they had chosen to ignore it. The consequences were about to become very clear. Chief Petty Officer Ben Clark checked his weapons one more time as the fleet approached the first line of Zephyrian defenses. He had fought in boarding actions before and knew that rescuing hostages required precision and speed. The Zephyrians were about to learn what happened when they threatened Earth's people. Captain Jake Morrison sat in his prison cell aboard Station Corax, watching through the small viewport as explosions lit up the darkness of space. The Zephyrian defense fleet was being systematically destroyed by human warships, and Jake felt grim satisfaction watching his captors panic. Dr. Lisa Warren pressed against the viewport next to him. Her face was bruised from the interrogations, but her eyes were bright with hope as she watched the battle. "Jake, is that really our fleet?" she whispered. "That is the biggest human fleet I have ever seen, Lisa. Someone back home is very angry about What happened to us? The prison section held all 59 captured humans in cramped cells. The Zephyrians had spent 3 days trying to extract information about Earth's military capabilities and had grown frustrated with their prisoners' refusal to cooperate. Commander Kyle Brooks called out from the cell across the corridor. "Jake, count the ships if you can see them. Intelligence back home will want accurate numbers." Jake pressed his face against the viewport and tried to count the human vessels engaging the Zephyrian defenses. The numbers were staggering. He could see at least 30 major warships in the immediate area and more arriving constantly. A massive explosion lit up the station as something important was destroyed. The artificial gravity flickered and emergency lighting activated throughout the prison section. Jake could hear Zephyrian guards shouting in panic through the corridor. Captain Rick Hayes led his Special Forces team through the outer sections of Station Corax. His Marines had boarded the station 20 minutes ago and were fighting there. Way toward the prison levels, the Zephyrian defenders were brave but completely outmatched by human tactics and equipment. "Sergeant Miller, take your squad left and secure the command center. My team will continue toward the prisoner section." "Sergeant." Tony Miller nodded and led his Marines down the left corridor. Rick could hear weapon fire and explosions as his men engaged the defenders. The station was large and heavily defended, but the human assault was proceeding ahead of schedule. Rick's tactical display showed the position of every human team aboard the station. Admiral Rodriguez had planned this operation carefully. Multiple boarding parties had attacked simultaneously while the fleet engaged the defending ships. The Zephyrians could not coordinate their defense effectively. "Sir, this is Miller. Command center secured. I have access to the station database." "Good work, Tony. Download everything and look for information about other captured ships or crews." Rick continued moving toward the prison section with his team. The corridor was filled with smoke and debris from the fighting. Dead Zephyrian soldiers lay scattered where they had tried to make defensive stands. Commander Julia Davis monitored the boarding operation from her position aboard the UES Washington. Her intelligence team was coordinating with the assault forces and analyzing captured data in real time. "Admiral, we have confirmed the location of all 59 prisoners," she reported to Admiral Rodriguez. "Captain Hayes is 3 levels away. From reaching them, Admiral Rodriguez studied the tactical display showing the battle around Station Corax. The Zephyrian defense fleet had been reduced to less than 20 ships, and those were retreating toward the inner system. "Julia, what about enemy reinforcements?" "Sir, long-range sensors show additional Zephyrian fleets moving toward this position, but they will not arrive for several hours." "We have time to complete the rescue operation." Rodriguez nodded grimly. The rescue was proceeding well, but he knew this was just the beginning. The Zephyrians had attacked Earth civilians, and that could not be ignored. There would be consequences beyond just recovering their people. Dr. Matt Thompson prepared his medical station aboard the assault transport as wounded Marines were brought back from the station. Most injuries were minor, but he wanted to be ready for the rescued prisoners. Intelligence suggested they had been mistreated during their captivity. "Doc, we have incoming wounded from the station assault," his assistant called out. Matt looked up to see stretchers carrying 2 Marines with plasma burns. The Zephyrian weapons were crude but effective at close range. He quickly began treating their injuries while monitoring reports from the boarding teams. Captain Hayes reached the prison section and found it heavily defended. The Zephyrians had positioned their best troops here and were fighting desperately to prevent the rescue. "This is Hayes. Prison section is heavily defended. Requesting additional support." "Rick, this is Rodriguez. How long do you need?" "Give me 20 minutes, Admiral. We will get our people out Rick activated the explosive charges his team had placed throughout the section. The blasts opened multiple breaches in the Zephyrian defensive line, and his Marines poured through the gaps. Jake Morrison heard the explosions getting closer and knew rescue was imminent. The Zephyrian guards had abandoned their posts and were retreating deeper into the station. Through his viewport, he could see human fighters strafing the station's defensive systems. "Everyone stay calm," Jake called out to the other prisoners. "Our people are coming for us." Lisa smiled for the first time in days. "I never doubted they would come, Jake." The cell doors suddenly opened as Rick Hayes appeared in the corridor with his Marines. The prisoners cheered and rushed toward their rescuers. Jake felt overwhelming relief as he saw the familiar uniforms of Earth's military. "Captain Morrison, I am Captain Hayes. We are here to get you home." "Captain, how many ships did Earth send?" Jake asked as they moved toward the evacuation point. Rick smiled grimly. "Enough to make sure this never happens again, sir." The evacuation proceeded quickly as Marines escorted the prisoners to waiting transport ships. Jake was amazed at the efficiency of the operation. Every detail had been planned and executed with military precision. As they reached the transport, Dr. Thompson was waiting to examine the rescued prisoners. Jake submitted to a quick medical scan while watching the continuing battle through the ship's viewports. "Captain, the Zephyrians are requesting a ceasefire," Commander Davis reported from the command ship. "Tell them we will consider it after we have our people back safely," Admiral Rodriguez replied. The transport carrying the rescued prisoners docked with the UES Washington 30 minutes later. Jake Morrison walked onto the flagship and was greeted by Admiral Rodriguez himself. "Captain Morrison, good to have you back. I trust you and your people are well." "Yes, sir, though the Zephyrians were not gentle hosts." "Admiral, how did Earth respond?" "So quickly," Rodriguez smiled coldly. "Captain, when someone attacks our people, the response is immediate and overwhelming. The entire fleet was mobilized within hours of your capture." Jake looked around the command center and was amazed by what he saw. Every display showed human ships in perfect formation. The tactical screens indicated complete dominance of local space. "Sir, what happens now?" Jake asked. "Now we make sure this never happens again. Sergeant Miller found something interesting in the station database." Commander Davis approached with a data pad. "Captain, the Zephyrians have been capturing and holding crews from multiple species for years. We found records of at least 30 other incidents." Jake felt anger building in his chest. The attack on his research ships had not been isolated. The Zephyrians were systematic pirates who preyed on civilian vessels. "Admiral, what about those other crews?" Jake asked. "We are going to find them, Captain. Every single one. The rescued prisoners were transferred to medical facilities aboard the fleet's hospital ships. Dr. Lisa Warren was treated for her injuries and debriefed by intelligence officers about the Zephyrian interrogation techniques." "Doctor, did they extract any sensitive information?" Commander Davis asked. "No, Commander. They tried, but we told them nothing useful. They seemed more interested in our research data than military intelligence." Davis nodded. "The research you were conducting has significant commercial value. That may have been their primary motivation." Over the next few hours, search teams found evidence of other imprisoned crews throughout the station. Most were dead, but some had been transferred to other Zephyrian facilities. Admiral Rodriguez realized this was not just a rescue mission anymore. "All ships. This is Admiral Rodriguez. We have confirmed that the Zephyrian Empire has been conducting systematic piracy against civilian vessels for years. Our mission has expanded beyond rescue to include justice for all victims." Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the Washington and watched as the human fleet prepared for the next phase of operations. The Zephyrians had thought they could attack Earth's people without consequences. They were about to learn otherwise. Station Corax was now under human control and being searched thoroughly for evidence. The defending fleet had been destroyed, or scattered. But Admiral Rodriguez was not finished. The database contained locations of other Zephyrian facilities where prisoners might be held. "Admiral, incoming transmission from the Zephyrian High Command," the communications officer reported. "Put them through." An elderly Zephyrian appeared on screen wearing elaborate robes that indicated supreme authority. His expression was carefully controlled, but Jake could see fear in his eyes. "Human Admiral, I am Supreme Leader Zekvar. We must discuss terms for ending this conflict." Rodriguez stared at the alien leader coldly. "Leader Zekvar, there will be no terms until every captured civilian is returned and those responsible." Admiral Pete Johnson stood on the command deck of his flagship as human forces completed their occupation of the 3rd Zephyrian military base. In the 2 weeks since the rescue at Station Corax, the human fleet had systematically dismantled the Zephyrian Empire's ability to threaten anyone ever again. Captain Mary Stewart approached with her latest report on the war crimes investigation. Her team had been documenting evidence of Zephyrian piracy and illegal detention for the past 10 days. The scope of their crimes was staggering. "Admiral, we have confirmed 47 separate incidents over the past 5 years," Mary reported. "Civilian ships from 12 different species were attacked and their crews imprisoned or killed." Pete felt cold anger as he read the report. The Zephyrians had not just attacked Earth's research vessels. They had been systematically preying on peaceful traders and explorers throughout this region of space. "Mary, how many survivors have we found?" 18 people from 6 different species, Admiral. Most were being held at forced labor camps on outer system planets. The conditions were horrible. Pete nodded grimly. The rescue operations had expanded far beyond recovering Earth's people. Human forces were now liberating prisoners from multiple worlds and space stations throughout Zephyrian territory. Colonel Jack Phillips entered the command center wearing his military police uniform. He had been appointed military governor of the occupied Zephyrian worlds and was responsible for maintaining order during the transition period. "Admiral, the Zephyrian civilian population is cooperating fully with our forces. Most seem relieved that their military has been defeated, Jack." "What about resistance movements?" "Minimal, sir. The Zephyrian military was not popular with their own people. Years of aggressive expansion and piracy had created internal opposition. Many civilians are actually helping us locate hidden military assets." Pete was not surprised. Military dictatorships rarely had genuine popular support. The Zephyrian Empire had been held together by fear and force rather than loyalty. Dr. Susan Wright arrived from her diplomatic mission to the Galactic Council. She had been working to establish legal frameworks for the post-war reconstruction of Zephyrian space. "Admiral, the Council has agreed to establish an international monitoring commission," Susan reported. "Earth will have primary responsibility for ensuring compliance with new anti-piracy protocols." "Susan, what about the other major powers? Are they supporting our actions?" "Publicly, they express concern about the precedent we are setting. Privately, most are relieved that someone finally dealt with the Zephyrian problem. The hegemony has even offered to assist with reconstruction efforts." Pete looked at the strategic display showing human forces throughout former Zephyrian space. 43 star systems were now under Earth military administration. It was the largest occupation in human history. "Admiral," the communications officer called out. "Priority message from Admiral Rodriguez." Admiral Rodriguez appeared on the main display from his flagship near the Zephyrian homeworld. He looked tired, but satisfied with the progress of operations. Pete, what is the status of the outer systems? All military objectives secured, sir. We have established monitoring stations at 12 key locations and begun training local security forces. Resistance has been minimal. Good. The Galactic Council is pressuring us to begin withdrawal, but I want permanent safeguards in place first. Pete understood Rodriguez's caution. Simply defeating the Zephyrian military was not enough. They needed to ensure that this kind of systematic piracy could never happen again. Captain Jake Morrison walked through the rebuilt research station that would replace the destroyed facilities in the Kepler Nebula. The new station was heavily defended and would serve as both a scientific facility and early warning post for future threats. Dr. Lisa Warren joined him at the observation deck overlooking the construction work. Her injuries from captivity had healed, but Jake could see that the experience had changed her. "Jake, do you think this will really prevent future attacks?" she asked. "Lisa, the galaxy now knows what happens when someone threatens Earth's people. I think most species will remember that lesson." The new research station represented more than just scientific capability. It was a symbol of Earth's determination to protect its civilians no matter where they worked or explored. Commander Julia Davis finished her briefing to the Galactic Council on human intelligence findings regarding Zephyrian criminal activities. The evidence was overwhelming and had shocked even veteran diplomats. "Counselors, the pattern of systematic piracy extended across 17 sectors," Julia concluded. "This was not random criminal activity, but organized state terrorism against civilian populations." The elderly Valon counselor who had criticized Earth's military response now looked uncomfortable. "Commander Davis, these revelations are disturbing. Perhaps Earth's response was more justified than initially apparent." Julia maintained her professional composure. "Counselor Earth tried diplomatic solutions first. Military action became necessary. When diplomacy failed, the Council voted unanimously to support Earth's reconstruction efforts and establish new protocols for protecting civilian vessels. The Zephyrian crisis had demonstrated the need for stronger enforcement of galactic law. Admiral Rodriguez received the final surrender documents from Supreme Leader Zekvar in a ceremony aboard the UES Washington. The Zephyrian leader looked broken and defeated as he signed away his empire's military capabilities. "Leader Zekvar, you understand the terms of this agreement," Rodriguez said formally. "Yes, Admiral. All military vessels will be surrendered or destroyed. Military installations will be dismantled under Earth supervision. War criminals will face trial before international tribunals." Rodriguez studied the alien leader who had started this crisis through arrogance and miscalculation. "Leader Zekvar, why did you attack our research vessels? You knew Earth's reputation." Zekvar was quiet for a long moment before answering. "Admiral, we thought your reputation was exaggerated. We believed distance would protect us from retaliation." "We were wrong." "Yes, you were." The ceremony concluded with the formal transfer of authority over Zephyrian space to Earth military administration. It would be years before full self-government was restored, and only under strict international supervision. Captain Morrison stood on the bridge of the new UES Discovery 2 as it prepared to depart for another research mission. The ship was identical to his destroyed vessel, but carried additional defensive systems and a larger crew complement. "Captain, we are receiving our final clearance from Earth Command," Commander Brooks reported from his station. Jake nodded. "Kyle set course for the Vega Nebula. Dr. Warren has new experiments to conduct." As the Discovery 2 entered hyperspace, Jake reflected on the events of the past month. Earth had demonstrated once again why most species preferred cooperation to conflict with humans. The price of aggression was simply too high. The human fleet began its gradual withdrawal from Zephyrian space over the following weeks. Permanent monitoring stations remained in key locations, staffed by both human personnel and representatives from allied species. The message was clear. This region was now under protection. Admiral Rodriguez returned to Earth to brief President Blake on the operation's success. The cost had been minimal. Only 12 human casualties compared to complete destruction of Zephyrian military capability. "Danny, you exceeded all expectations," President Blake said as they reviewed the final reports. "How long before we can consider this region stable, Madam President?" "I estimate 5 years of monitoring before we can reduce our presence. The new government structures need time to establish legitimacy." Karen nodded. "The important thing is that our people are safe, and this will not happen again." 3 months later, Captain Morrison received a priority message while conducting research near the Vega Nebula. An unknown alien vessel was approaching their position and requesting communication. "Captain, they are identifying themselves as representatives of the Corlex Confederation," the communications officer reported. "They want to discuss establishing trade relations with Earth." Jake smiled. Word had spread throughout the galaxy about Earth's response to the Zephyrian crisis. Species that had never shown interest in humans were now eager to establish friendly relations. "Open a channel. Let us see what they want." The alien diplomat appeared on screen with a carefully respectful expression. "Captain Morrison, I bring greetings from the Corlex people. We have heard of Earth's commitment to protecting peaceful exploration and commerce. We would be honored to establish formal relations. Welcome to our region of space. We are always interested in meeting new civilizations." The conversation proceeded smoothly, with the aliens offering scientific cooperation and trade opportunities. Jake noticed they seemed very careful to emphasize their peaceful intentions and respect for human sovereignty. After the transmission ended, Dr. Warren approached Jake with an amused expression. "Jake, I think our reputation is preceding us these days." "Lisa, that is probably a good thing. The galaxy now understands that Earth protects its own." The research mission continued successfully, with no threats or interference. The new reality was clear to everyone. Earth civilians could work anywhere in known space under the protection of the most powerful fleet in the galaxy.